In today's episode, we're sculpting this, which means we're carving this into this. We'll show you how it's done, work some mad detailing magic, recap our sculpture, and dazzle you with cinematics. Want top 5 entertainment in under 40 minutes? Then stick around. Hey, good morning, good day, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, City Sculptor, and you have made your way back to Pengasas Bay. Well, we're looking in on the Roughneck Isle part of town here, and this is going to be a big episode. We're going to be using this as our canvas for our industrial build today. We've got a lot of industry that we need to bring into Pengasas Bay. And we're going to start out with some generic industry, but we're also going to tap into specialized industry. We're going to be doing some farms, and we're going to be doing our very first ever oil industry area. So that should be exciting. We're also going to prep the area for rail lines, and we're going to figure out where we want to put our cargo rail station. I'm not sure if we're going to drop it in today or if we're just going to set aside some space, but we'll figure that out. We've got to build an interchange, and there's a couple other surprises. Now, just as a reminder, we are a new channel. So if you like what you see here today, make sure to chip away at that like button and hammer that subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest here in Pengasas Bay and Gran Vanillica. Okay, with all of that as a backdrop, let's do this. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to carve out a little space to have our through road coming through. We're going to build a dumbbell interchange, so I need to just excavate through there just to give it a little bit of a clearance room. And let's take a medium road. And I've got all my snapping turned off. We're just going to run that right through here. And, I'd make it just a little bit longer. Let's just do that. Run that right through here. And that should be plenty long. And now I want to come in and put roundabouts on either end. And I'm going to use the old school roundabout method because that's just how I roll. And first part is done. Now for the second part, we need to come in and connect the freeway to these roundabouts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in and first downgrade my freeway. Yeah, okay. Looking good, looking good. Now we've got to connect the roundabouts to the freeway. We'll do that with our one-way highway. We'll just run that straight out. And then I'm going to just take it off of there ever so slightly. There we go. So it's going to have a nice little retaining wall there. That's fine. That's fine. I think I want to continue to bring this down. So we're going to come down to ground level. Okay. Now we've got that, and we can come in here and just drive up and connect. And everything should be great. We just got to change the direction, of course, but it's going to be a much cleaner approach into that roundabout. Yeah, I like the way that looks. So we'll take the same approach from the other side. We'll do that, in fact, for all 4 sides. That's not too bad. So next thing we have to do is we need to get some roads in here to support the build we're going to have. And if I turn on my natural resources, you can see there's a lot of farmland right in here, and I want to take advantage of that. So I'm going to probably run one little road out here, a little access road out here, and allow one farm to work this area. And then I'm going to run another access road kind of down along this line here to allow us to come in and work this farmland here, and then the other piece of farmland up there in the distance. And maybe even build some, some service buildings out in here as well. All right, so let's get cracking on that. Just your standard 2-lane road. We're going to spring off of this. Let's go nice and short here just to give us some room there. And then I'm going to work that out kind of along through here. It's going to be a nice little windy road. That should be good. And then we're going to come out and try and do this something similar on the other side. Come out at a right angle to start. And then we can engage our windy little road. Now let's do that. We'll come out here, and then we'll follow some of this terrain. Now we've got an access road to that side of the freeway, so let's come back into the other side. Let's bring a road out, just kind of straight, very short little distance though. Go straight. And then we're going to do something that's kind of a nice little pattern out here. If you look over here, we've got all of our oil there. And, I'm going to want to get in here. I wonder what it's going to look like if we put our oil resources in here. I've not done an oil build yet. So if I come in here with that's a little straight road. And then grab our industry, go to oil. Oh, looks like a pretty good place for it. That is a lot of oil. Let's just go ahead and start here. In fact, let's go in here. Come in a little further. Smooth that out. Is that too far? It'll fit. It'll fit. There, we've got one oil industry painted in. That looks interesting. All right, we can do the other one now. There we go. Now we've got some oil fields working in there. All right, we got to connect those up. Now we got two oil drilling businesses that are set up, specialized industries that are set up. And so we should be in good shape. Okay, so now that we've got our oil industries in, I like the way it looks. I think we're going to have to come in and drop in some rail lines because we want to make sure we get the rail lines in long before we start building in here because we don't want to have to start tearing things up again. So my intent is to put a cargo rail station down here because I'd like to see a lot of this industry developed further down the peninsula here, down the island, and then have this cargo rail line set up close to our oil industry. So with that being said, there's a couple places I'm going to need to connect up. Ideally, I'm going to have two rail lines that run into that cargo rail station. So I think we have to prepare the land here in advance. And we'll do that by just kind of smoothing out a nice flat area here. And just start thinking about how we want to orient this. We want the rail station to be oriented going this way because I want to connect a rail line, ideally, up and around over to here to be able to give us access to outside of town, and then also on up to what will ultimately be some of our downtown area over here. So we've got to have a way to get over across this little river area, or this little channel, if you will. And then the other way we have to connect is we're going to have to come over around and in through and hop skip along these little islands and make our way along this area to cut across that harbor and then on into where we had our immigration district, our gateway village last episode, and pick up these tracks as they meander their way along and deliver goods further along that island. So we have to think these things through in advance, right? See, that's kind of cool looking. We've got the curve bending across the river. We've got the other curve coming down and cutting across over here. And then if we thread both of those lines back into, let's call it this space into here, we set ourselves up nicely to be able to install a rail yard in here somewhere. I mean, a cargo train station down here somewhere. I don't know exactly where it's going to be, but if we spin this around, kind of get it in there, maybe I can even slide it up into here somewhere. Then we've got access from two different lines, and we'll be able to get our oil in and around and outside of the city. So we can come back later and pretty that up, but at least we've laid in our rail foundation. I suppose the next thing we should probably do is go paint in some farming industry. I think there's quite a bit of agriculture land over here. Yeah, look at that. So we're going to go ahead and put that farm in. I think we drew this out here just so that we'd have some additional parking, and then I'll bring this gravel road out. Maybe I'll convert this one. Yeah, there we go. And then if I come in here with our industrial tool, and you know, it almost seems like you can't have enough grain. So that's, you know, that's probably good, grain farming. And then you've got vegetable farming as well. Textile fiber. I'm going to go with more grain. And I think that's probably it's probably going to always be a solid choice. There we go. Now we've got a nice grain farm in there. Let's drop in a second farm here. And we're going to put in a vegetable farm down here. Although I do like the grain farms. I need to do a little terraforming first, just to kind of tidy things up a little. And then I'm going to put in a road. We're going to bring a gravel road off of this main road here. And I'm going to bring off one of these roads, because then it'll give employees a place to park. And then I'll put the gravel road out here. We'll see if that's going to be enough space. We're just going to put it right there. Now we got farms. Okay. We got farms. We got oil. We're in good shape. Okay, with the oil and farming industries in place, now we can turn our attention back to this rail line, because the rail line, I needed to thread through past the farms. I think it's going to be kind of quaint, those cargo trains running past the farms. And we've got a couple things going on over here. We know we're going to put a cargo train station down somewhere in this space over here. And I know I want to have my big rail yard way up across the map, you know, kind of over here. This is that big rail depot that you have to have. So we're a little ways away from unlocking those squares and dropping in that rail depot. And we don't have enough demand yet to require it. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to reflow the train tracks that are going to run through here. And I think what I'm going to probably want to do is have this swoop around through here and then create some sort of a, I don't know, almost like a train trumpet interchange, and bring a line down into this space here so we can have our cargo lines feed off of that. I think it's just going to be more visually appealing long term, and also it's going to be a little bit more functional. I was trying to get cute over here, and I don't think it worked right. So let's dive in and tackle that. Now we've got a train interchange. That should be able to handle the traffic. Okay, with the messiness of that train interchange behind us, we can start to focus our attention on dropping in some industrial. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to build, I want to build kind of like a little buffer space off of that main arterial. We'll put it about so deep. I'm going to come out here. Let's do the same thing, 112. This is going to have a kind of a nice semicircular kind of look to it. A little bit more modern, futuristic. So we did, what you said, what, 112? 112, let's go to 112 again. And there we go, 112. And then we're going to bend that back in. As long as we're all the way to the edge here. 112 and 112. Good. Let's do the same thing over here. 112 and 112. Now you can see we're going to be able to zone some larger industrial pieces off of those, I guess, curves. So they'll kind of all be offset. Okay. And what that's going to allow us to do is zone in some industrial buildings, but at some odd angles. And we can get in some large ones, some small ones, and so forth. And then work in some more interesting geometric shapes down the coast here to flesh out our industrial area. So now we can jump in across the street. And I might just go ahead and use a roundabout here. I haven't used too many of those. Let's drop in a larger roundabout here, and then I can stem off of that across the street. Yeah, nice and neat. And that'll serve as a nice entry point into our industrial community. So let's continue our industrial build here. And one of the things I'm going to want to do is, again, kind of pare this back a little bit more if we can. And then I can build out kind of my grid pattern in here. And the grid pattern I'm going to use is it's going to be a little different. So I think the 4-lane road coming off here is probably going to be a good spot. We'll drop in a large roundabout in here because we need lots of room. We want to make sure that our trucks have the best possible access coming in up that hill to where the train station is going to be. Let's go and start our square pattern now. And the way I want to do this is I want to come out, let's say about to here, and build a road out that is 160 on a side. Come back and do the same thing. Just build out a nice square. Because what I've got in my mind is just kind of some, we got to build blocks or grids probably just to be sort of efficient, but I don't have to do it in a standard kind of boring way. I can do it something a little different. And for each of these grids, I can come in and maybe put a little sidewalk in the center, just a little space. Take this corner and drag it. Let's see, can we get all the way to let's go to the corner and force a sidewalk there. Force a crosswalk. Let's do that on each of the 4 corners. And then we'll come back in with our road and we'll connect it to our big 4-lane road. Yeah, that's the center. So if we do that, and of course come back in and turn off the stoplights for now. Now we've got a really interesting box pattern that allows you to do some zoning of a variety of different shapes and sizes of industry buildings in this space. And it's big enough where it kind of looks like a nice grid if you stack a bunch of these out here, but small enough that it allows you to put a whole bunch of them in here and offer up kind of some variety. So I'll get to work and start building a number of these out, whether they be exactly like this one or slightly different, just to create some interest and variety in our industrial space. That makes for an interesting industry area, doesn't it? All right, we'll start putting buildings in now. Okay, so with our base grid layout, now I'm going to want to throw in a couple of those big, larger assets, and those would be our cargo train terminal. We're going to do that up here. I'm going to need to figure out how to get that in nice and neat like. All right, so we can thread this one into there, and then if we expand it in the future, that second track will come in. I believe it's in this space down here. And so we'll be able to kind of create a Y junction here and feed into both of those tracks. So I think that's a good spot for our rail station. And then I can come in here and create a loop. I want to create a loop here. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is I want to put in that big gas power plant there. So this could be a big, huge asset coming up there. So let's build out this ridge a little bit more. We're going to drag this out quite a bit just to create a little space there. And then we're going to grab that gas power plant. Wow, she's a beast, isn't she? Okay, so it's 4 from there. It's 5 from there. So let's go there. Like it. I actually would rather have it oriented the other way, though. So let's do this. So now we've got that big gas power plant in there, and I'm going to have to connect that via these heavy-duty lines. Actually, I wonder if we should keep them above ground. That might look kind of neat. Bring him up. Follow along the train station. Yeah, we get a little bit more of an industrial vibe going. And then I'll try and mirror this bridge. Yeah, see, and now what we can do is we can take this transformer station that I had just kind of thrown down here, and we can bring that over to our original area, and that can serve as the power generation for our original space. So we'll go underground power line, and we'll just connect that in right there. Time to start zoning in some industry. You know, we'll start down here by the freeway over here. But before I do that, I probably want to throw in some walking paths just to kind of break this space up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, and it gives a little bit of interest too. And like I said, let's start zoning in some industry. You know, one of the things I want to do is let's drop in some office that's close to this, you know, the main arterial road. If you look down here, we've got a huge demand for shopping, industry, for office. We can put in plenty of buildings here. Let's just go ahead and start building and zoning in some office down here along the edge. Yeah, see, now we can come in with these kind of odd shapes in here and just start putting in some industry. And I think the first one I want to do is going to be in this corner here, a little tiny one there, a little tiny one there, just so we're grabbing some of that space. So you can see those are starting to fill in nicely. I think this will be kind of a visually interesting area. By the way, before we start doing this, let's jump back in and check our taxation rate on a variety of different things. I want to see industrial. I really want to incentivize the crude oil business and the petrochemicals business, because we've got lots of those, and we're going to need petrochemicals and oil to fuel that power plant. And we want to incentivize, we're going to incentivize grain. We're going to incentivize, it was the vegetables and the livestock. Livestock, that's what it is. And then in addition to that, we're going to incentivize convenience food a little bit and just regular food a little bit so that the folks have good food to eat. So any place that we've got a surplus, we probably want to take advantage of that, incentivize those industries to come in first. We're going to probably start seeing a population spike as people move in to take all these jobs. Okay, now you can see some of this industry starting to fill in. I've got industry and offices that are going to start to fill in, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take quite a while. We've got a lot of space to fill in, but you can see all the trucks starting to stream in from outside of town. And I think this is going to shape up to be pretty cool. It feels like it's a really good place to start a detailing time lapse. Now, we don't have a lot in the way of assets to industrial type assets to do that. So I'm going to have to get a little creative with with sidewalks and plantings and so forth. But I think we can do some fun things in this detailing time lapse to really bring some life to this industrial area. So sit back, relax, enjoy the time lapse, and we'll catch you right after that. Welcome back. And I give you Roughneck Isle. Roughneck Isle was our industrial build for today, and quite a transformation it made. You know, trying to create a rugged industrial space is, to me, it's become a little bit of a challenge. So I decided to flip the script and do something totally different and go very artistic on it instead. So I wanted to create more of a futuristic industrial space, and I think we've accomplished that today with our layout. So let's, there's so much to look at here today. Let's jump right in, and let's start where we started the episode, which was that Dogbone Interchange. We built that Dogbone Interchange coming off of this freeway that just runs right on through and on into our larger island where we have Gateway Village. We detailed that up nicely with some trees and some shrubs and bushes, and I even worked in here on some traffic pattern fixes because I was having some traffic snarls in this particular loop over here. So we added a couple of extra lanes, and things seem to be flowing really nicely now. We then had our farm builds over here. We've got grains, we've got vegetables that are growing out here, and then you can see this rail line that runs right on past here. So it kind of gives you that, I don't know, mid-American vibe of having a rail line running right past the farms. And speaking of rail lines, we had to build this big Trumpet interchange here to really take care of the main line that's going to run right straight through, and then this spur line that's going to run down into our industrial base. So it was a significant build putting together this Trumpet, but I'll tell you this, it's a lot easier in CS2 than it was in CS1. And then we even put a retaining wall / key wall there to buttress that part of the loop as you get back onto the main line. So like the way that turned out. All right, jumping right in. The entrance to our industrial space, we've got a lot of trees and plantings, so on and so forth. And you'll see a common theme through this build. We've got these little squares with these diagonal sidewalks. And then in each of the squares, we've got some bushes, maybe some trees, some plantings, and so forth. And then you've got a radial design over here in this space that it kind of runs out in a circular type of a pattern. But I use these sidewalks to try and give some definition to some of the yards in there. We don't have fences. We don't have really good ways to buffer off each of the individual units. So I just use some pathways and then some spruce trees to try and give your eye a maybe a way to break it up visually. And then continuing on in, we've got our bus station, which is right down in here. We've got lines that run all the way back to Gateway Village, and then we've got lines that are running throughout the industrial district. So we've got a lot of bus service coming through, and that seems to be working well. And then we've got a little firehouse station with some office complex here. And then we move on over to our oil industry. And our oil industry was fairly significant here, and I think that was a good use of the space. We've got a lot of oil just in this space down here, and we were in dire need of it. We just haven't had any yet. And so I started the episode really, really in the red in terms of a profit. Finished the episode up quite a bit of money in our bank account, but still showing a negative. So I don't know if that's a common bug, if anybody else is experiencing that as well. But I'm just to show you real quick here. The arrow's still pointing down. We're losing 88,000, I guess we'd call them dollars an hour. But my total keeps going up. It was at 500,000. It's now up to 1.4 million. So you got me. I don't. It's that new math. I don't know. I don't get it. All right. So let's jump in and take a look again at this industry space. We've got a lot of soft spaces here, and that was by design to try and break up that rough industry look. One of the challenges that I face with City Skylines, both the original and this one, is that there's just so many smokestacks, which is just not, I don't know. I don't know what part of the world you guys live in, but in my part of the world, we don't see that many smokestacks in our industry areas. So it's a little forced, but I was, playing a game of whack-a-mole, coming through and knocking down as many smokestacks as I could, but I think it's a losing proposition. The smokestacks, they eventually beat me. But that being said, we've got a large variety of different types of buildings, shapes and sizes that are in here, and I think that turned out nicely. And then I tried to break it up with some of these little, and I'll call them alleyways, but it's a nice walking path running through the center of the district. You've got a couple little plazas that are in here, just to break up the space and make it feel a little less a little less harsh with all of the smokestacks. And then, of course, we've got this big gas power plant sitting up on the hill. We used a little retaining wall road to frame that up on this side here, so it does sit elevated up from the rest of the build, and it's a pretty ominous piece up there, but really cool looking, I thought. And then you've got those heavy duty power lines coming out of here, so I tried to offer some protection there so that people don't kind of stray out there and start messing with those power lines. So I put planting some trees in there, some concrete, and then I tried to give some definition to those massive towers, electrical towers, with some concrete sidewalks, just as a, almost like a danger keep out. Again, we don't have fences, but we do the best that we can with some trees and sidewalks. And then, of course, our last piece here is our cargo rail hub, and so that is. Our cargo station it's going to be a really integral part of this build because there's obviously going to be a lot of traffic generated in this space, and we're going to want to move goods around efficiently throughout the whole city. And this will be a great little spur that runs out, eventually again carrying you off to the kind of that inland area there where our downtown's going to be, and some of our other industry builds out there, and then also down further along the island out to serve kind of the more of the suburbs, if you will, of this island out here. So I think it's going to be a good little spot to move goods around our city in. So, all right. Well, there you go. Oh, and the red dot. We got the Red Sea over here. One more thing. I still have not figured out how to get the water treatment facility that's way over here in Gateway Village connecting to this area. I've tried running pipes all the way along underground, and I make the connections, and then the water flows just fine. The sewage, for whatever reason, won't make its way back up to the treatment facility. So, not sure what we're doing there, but we're just venting sewage out into the ocean for now. We will fix it. We'll get to it. All right. So that's going to wrap up our episode for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. And just a reminder, again, we are a new channel, so if you saw something that you liked today, make sure to chip away at that like button and hammer that subscribe button. With that being said, I'm going to bid you farewell for today, and it's been a pleasure having you here. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.